Time to look at a Mastertronic Plus 299 release, and this one's called Night Games and described as a glorious feast of medieval combat giving you the chance to become an old English knight. Sounds pretty cool. Let's check it out. Nice artwork on the front cover of this one. Got two knights fighting with the balls and chains and the shields, and of course it says Night Games. Spine's got that Night Games logo again, and as you can see it's a $2.99 game, Mastertronic Plus. And on the back cover we've got screenshots which look pretty decent, very colourful, and the blurb about the game: a glorious feast of medieval combat giving you the chance to become an old English knight, sword fighting, crossbow, quarterstaff, ball and chain, archery, pike staff and axeman. Inside we've got the instructions, of course, loading instructions, scoring in various types of events. Bit more blurb about the game there. It says at the bottom there, night game loads in 8 separate parts. That doesn't sound very appealing. Like we've got a multi-load on our hands. Just say it's 1 or 2 player combat modes, evocative medieval style high resolution graphics, hundreds of different sprite positions, exciting medieval style music, especially composed for night games. Well, that's nice. And it's got the objectives, tells you a bit more. Again there it says night games loads from the cassette in 8 separate stages, 4 different events on each side of the cassette. That sounds laborious. Got some controls, and then a whole page full of the different joystick controls for the different types of events. Pretty comprehensive stuff. And there's that t-shirt advert on the back side of the inlay, and that's your lot. So this is the title screen, which is very colourful, and from here you select the event that you wish to play. Scrolling across the bottom there we've got the credits for the game, and also we've got some music in the background which is by David Whittaker, as you'll see it say in a minute. Oh no, maybe it's not. Ah, there we go. Yeah, I knew David Whittaker was involved in some way. So from here you select which game you want to play, and as I said there are 8 to choose from. So let's start with the Sword Fight 1. I don't know what the difference between Sword Fight 1 and 2 is, but let's load it up. So then you get to confirm that that's the one you want to play, and straight away it goes off to the multi-load, which I obviously won't make you sit through. So you got to press spacebar, press play, and away it goes loading the first section. Okay, so the game has loaded, or the first game has loaded I should say, the sword fight, and there's a selection of options here. You can choose how long you want to play for, 4, 6 or 8 minutes. You can choose whether you want to play against a computer or another player. You can switch the music on and off, and you can commence combat. So here we go, this is the sword fighting game. And as you can see, it's 2 knights fighting against each other. Joystick controls the swinging of the sword. You've got attacking moves which are done with up, down, left, right, and defensive moves which are done with the diagonal directions on the joystick. And you can also move backwards and forwards by holding down the fire button and moving left or right. So we've got some cool music as mentioned, the animation's really good and the graphics are pretty cool as well. Slightly over colourful perhaps, but quite nice graphics. I've just knocked that guy down, so I'm doing alright so far, and oh, it just starts again it seems. So you've got basically until the candle on the left runs out to do as much damage as you can. We've got some pretty decent sound effects as well, sort of swishing of swords and hacking, but my observation so far is that it's pretty boring. Oh, he's knocked me down now. It just seems to be a case of run up to the guy. There's not really much strategy involved. It's just hack and slash and try and do as much damage or more damage than your opponent. which doesn't seem very exciting for a long-term play, possibly better as a two-player game. And basically he seems to do plenty of damage just by sort of poking him in the ribs with the sword there. That seems to be working reasonably well. Yeah, the animation is quite decent though when he's swinging the sword there. It's quite cool. Quite like that overhead swing. Got him again. So I'm winning, but it's not very interesting, and I've still got at least another couple of minutes to play. So repeated hammering seems to take him out pretty well. Not much time left now. This overhead swipe, which is done by pushing the joystick down, seems to be the most effective method, although he is fighting me off at various times. And the candle's nearly burnt out. And I got him again, and game over, and it looks like I won. I got a bonus times 100, I collected some shields at the top there, knockout bonuses, quite a lot of them. And that's it. And basically I get my name in, which is cool. So there we go, and that was the first event. Now let's move on to the second one, which, as you know, requires loading off the tape. So let's move to the quarterstaff. I assume that's the second event, and let's load it up. After a couple of minutes of attempted loading, I've got this. Tape load error, please restart, which is not very impressive. So what I'm going to do is skip the quarterstaff and try and load one of the other events in instead. But it's not looking good so far. I've flipped over to side 2 of the tape and managed to load in Sword Fight 2. All the options are exactly the same, the music is different, so let's get on with it. You can see it's pretty much more of the same. It's a different background with a nice sort of castle in the background. Quite clever graphics there. And it's two blokes fighting with the swords. All the moves are pretty much exactly the same. The animation again is pretty decent. But otherwise it's pretty much exactly the same as Sword Fight 1. Not a lot of point carrying on with that. In fact, get the idea. It is much the same. I've now loaded up the second event on side 2, which is the Pike staff. So once again all the options are the same. We've got another set of music, which is nice. Let's get on with the game again. As you can see, we've got a nice background again with the castle on a hilltop, and we've got our two knights now fighting with some big sticks with spikes on the end. I guess that's what a pike is. And once again, it's just a matter of trying to hit your opponent more times than they hit you. It's just the 4 moves. I like this one, which is when you push back on the joystick. He swings it almost like a golf club. Other than that, there's not really much to say about it over and above the sword fighting. It's hack away at the guy and try and hit him more times than he hits you, which at the moment I'm not doing a very good job of. So once again I'm coming to the end of the 4 minutes. I can't honestly imagine playing this for more than 4 minutes. Even 4 minutes is tedious. And again, the animation's nice, the graphics are nice, the sound's nice, the gameplay is just completely lacking. There's like no effort gone into any kind of strategy or sort of tactics of playing against the computer. It's literally just hack away for as long as you can. I am beating him, and still it goes on. But it is nearly at the end now. As you can see, the candle on the left is nearly burnt down, which is another nice touch. I say, look, no effort spared on the presentation and the style of the game, just lacking quite a bit of substance. And there's me knocked down. As you can see, the candle's about to flicker out there, which again is quite cool. So at the end of that event, if you can call it that, I got some bonus points. Don't really know what they represent. And I've got my name in the high score table again. So at the moment I am winning. As you can see, I've got 15,000 as opposed to 7,000 that the computer's got. So let's move on and see if we can load in one of these more target shooting style events. Let's see if we can load in the Crossbow. So the Crossbow stage has loaded, and once again you've got the similar sort of options. This time it's 3, 4 or 5 minutes, and it's a solo game, or player 1 versus player 2, so there's no fighting obviously involved in a Crossbow game, although there could be. And more music, which again is pretty nice. So let's, it says commence combat, but obviously that's actually commence the Crossbow shooting. And as you can see, again, nice graphics. We've got the man with his crossbow, and you've got to control his crosshairs and try and hit the targets, which crosshairs kind of wobbles around, and also the targets spin around, so you've got to get your timing just about right. So basically you've just got, in this case, because I've chosen 3 minutes, you've got 3 minutes to just hit the target as many times as possible in 3 minutes. There's no limit to the number of darts you can fire with the crossbow. So yeah, interesting premise. It's really just about how accurate you are with the shooting. I don't know if there's any more points for shooting the different targets. Obviously I guess the closer to the middle you get more points, but I haven't really managed to work that out as yet. So once again the candle's nearly run out, and I'm still shooting away here. It's not very interesting. Again, it is different, at least a bit of a change of pace from the fighting levels, but it's still not very interesting because there's only 3 targets to aim for. It's also frustrating because they do seem to turn around at random intervals, so sometimes you hit them and sometimes you don't. Not much more to say about the archery really. Sorry, not much more to say about the crossbow really. So once again, the game's finished. I got some bonus. I don't know what those little shields are representing at the top there, but I got some. Not sure if there's anything else to be had from that. Seemingly not. So I got my name in. And obviously the computer doesn't play that, so now my tournament total goes up and the computer's doesn't, which is a bit random. So that just leaves one more level to load on this side of the tape, which is the Axeman. So let's load that up, why not, and see if it's any different from any of the others. So here's the Axeman game, and once again the options are as expected. Like the music on this one's particularly cool bit of music. So let's get on with the game, and as you can see we're in an arena inside this time by the looks of it. Lots of blue there, and unsurprisingly it's very straightforward fighting combat style game. There's the usual 4 moves: swing the axe, so you've got overhead, you've got like a backhand sort of swing, there's one that's kind of like a roundhouse swing I suppose, and one that's sort of, I don't know, underneath, trying to, like an uppercut I suppose, which with an axe would be particularly painful. So once again, after a minute or so's play, or not even that, you've done everything you can do, and it's pretty boring again. But I'll just stick it out until the end to get a final score for my work in this tournament. Okay, so the candle is almost burnt out again. Time to summarise this game, and all I can say is it looks great, animation's great, the graphics are great, the sound's good as well, the music's excellent, but it's just really boring. The gameplay is distinctly lacking. So I've got to the end of the game. I can't say it's worth $2.99, which was the original asking price, because it's just really boring. It might be slightly more fun as a competitive two-player game, but I doubt it, because basically doesn't seem to be any obvious way to block either. So that's pretty much it. Let's just see if there's any kind of final standings or anything along those lines. Just put my name in there, and obviously I won. But I think that's it. There's no sort of great ceremony to say that you've won, because you can just go and replay all the levels as well, which I guess just increases the scores on each one. So there you go, back to the main menu, and I think we've all seen enough.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
2, 1, 0.